Hi everyone, hope you're doing really well. Welcome to today's episode. And in this one, we're going to share with you our BTL Business Process, which is an overview of the entire process from a property not even being on our radar right through it to being purchased and giving us a monthly cash flow and has great prospects for long-term capital appreciation. And we thought we'd share this with you for two reasons. One, because you see in our previous episode, we talked about our goals for 2022, and one of them was to add to our buy-to-let portfolio. So we thought, actually, if you have the entire overview that we use, this exact document is something that we use in our business at various points throughout, and we'll cover all those. But you'll be able to see where we are in that process. So it'll be a frame of reference for you. But also we thought it'd be helpful for you to know about this and have access to it, because if you are hoping to add to or buy your own buy-to-let property this year, this is essentially the same process that you are going to be going through. So for those reasons, I hope you find this helpful, and if at any point you do, then please, if you could leave a like, that'd be really appreciated by us. So first of all, what are we looking at? Well, this is a picture that we have saved from a diagram that we produced using this website here, app.diagrams.net, a link for which is in the description. It's completely non-affiliated, and essentially I like it because it's very user-friendly, incredibly simple and very intuitive. And as you can see, you just end up adding boxes, and you can write text in it. You can customize the entire process. And you can end up producing a diagram that looks something like this. So what we're going to do, we're going to break this down over a number of episodes, mainly because I think it's helpful to just hone in on some, or attend to some details in a particular order, and then once you see the whole thing, you'll understand how it relates, how all the information is interrelated. So I've separated it out. We're going to look at a few key things over the next few episodes. And the first one, in this one, we're going to look at what we would call our buy-to-let criteria. And it has to meet, when we buy a house, all of this criteria has to be met. So I've put up here the key, and in this bit here, the 6 key principles. And the first one, right over on the far left, is tenant demand. The first thing we'd look at is there demand for tenants for this type of house, or where is the demand in a given area? So we look at tenant demand, and I've touched on this in previous episodes, but you want to make sure that if you're going to end up doing a buy-to-let property, you want to make sure that at the end, when it's all finished, and you're thinking, right, I need to find a tenant, you need to make sure that tenant demand is going to be there. Over here also, along with tenant demand, over on the far left is the opportunity to add value. Now, I've talked about this at great lengths. If you want the quickest way to update, to understand what I'm talking about in this entire thing, would be to check out the mini series. And if you really want it in the smallest amount of time, just look at episodes 2 to 7. That should cover, even 2 to 6 really. But we want the opportunity to be able to do a refurbishment that's going to increase the likelihood of that property being valued higher than when you purchased it. The opportunity to add value. And the simple thing to think about here is the idea of a flip. Can I buy something and do it up? Although we're not going to sell it, that's the idea. That's the principle behind it. Can I buy something, add some value by doing a refurbishment? Then once those two have been met, we're going to continue to progress along this flow diagram, and we're going to get to here. Can we refinance it? So this is going to be an opportunity for you to talk to your mortgage broker, and I'm going to talk about, I found this house, here's the criteria, here's the information, and they'll ask for most of that. The question for your mortgage broker is it likely I'll be able to refinance this, particularly if I'm going to buy it with investor cash, or I'm going to be doing a further advance, or I'm going to do a remortgage. Can I refinance it? And whatever the answer to that is, it has to be a yes, and if it's not, we don't buy. The next thing is I can refinance it, but can I pull my money out? Now they might say, yes, you can refinance it, but you're only going to be able to refinance it at 65% loan to value. Well, that might mean that you can't pull any of your money out. And if at this point you're not sure what I mean by pulling money out, then this is why I referenced a moment ago the mini series. The whole thing is explained there. So I need to be able to pull my money out. They might say, yes, you can, you're better to refinance it. You can do it at 75% or 80% loan to value. You better pull your money out. So that can be yes. And then the next question to ask, well, if I can pull my money out, what are my mortgage payments going to be like? And the thing is here, you see your mortgage payments, if you buy the wrong house in the wrong area, you might find that your mortgage payments are so high that you actually aren't left with much of a positive cash flow at the end of it. If I give you a ridiculous hypothetical situation, you might say you might get a rent of £800 per calendar month, but your mortgage is going to be £650. You're only going to get £150 per calendar month, and that's not counting any of the other costs. So the question now is, if I can refinance it and I can pull money out, does it leave us with some positive monthly cash flow? And the baseline for us, and you can set it for yourself, whatever you like, is a minimum of £200 per calendar month. All of our properties are over that. In fact, nearly all of them are about the 300 plus per calendar month. But we always set a minimum of, is it going to be worth this, doing this, a minimum cash flow of whatever it might be, for us £200 per calendar month. And they have to pass that question. And then finally, can we purchase it? And I've put here BAMV. I've shared my thoughts on BMV and why I've used BAMV in a previous episode. You can see the link on screen now. But essentially, can I buy it wholesale? Can I buy it in some form of discount? And this will just sound greedy. I can't put it any other way. Why not just pay full market price for it, or pay the price for it if it fulfills the other 5 criteria? And the answer is we try to end up buying a little bit of a discount, whatever that might be, which is, remember, the vendor has to agree to it. So you're not stealing someone else's house, it's by agreement. But some form of discount adds a level of security and insulation if something was to go awry. And I have said this before, in property, it's not if, it's when things go wrong. And if you're going to be working with private finance, which we're going to talk about in a previous episode relating to this diagram, then having some form of cushion is not only peace of mind, but also it adds to the likelihood that later on, when you come to refinance and pay people back, you've got a good amount of equity in a deal in which you can then make sure people are repaid. So can you buy it at some form of discount is our final 6th buy-to-let buying criteria. Now, we would say to people, if you think about doing buy-to-let, it's probably worth considering having the same 6. Remember, I can't give you any form of financial advice, but they are our 6, and it's what we've applied to every single of our buy-to-let purchases. In the next one, we're going to talk about our key result areas, and we'll talk about what that looks like and more related to this diagram. So, as I said before, if you have found any of this helpful or interesting, then please give us some feedback. We really appreciate it. If you've got any questions about our 6 buy-to-let criteria, then feel free to ask them. Apart from that, just leaves me to say thank you ever so much for your support. As always, we really appreciate it, and we hope you found this interesting, helpful, and we do look forward to seeing you in the next one.